What if I told you that the reason money eludes you has nothing to do with how hard you work? Nothing to do with your education, your background, or even your circumstances? What if the real reason you struggle financially is that you've been operating under a fundamental misunderstanding about how wealth actually works? Napoleon Hill spent 25 years studying the most successful people of his era. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, men who built empires from nothing. And what he discovered wasn't a secret about business tactics or investment strategies. He discovered a law, a mental law, a spiritual law that governs the flow of money into every human life. And once you understand this law, financial struggle becomes impossible. Not because you'll work harder, not because you'll sacrifice more, but because you'll finally stop violating the principle that actually controls wealth. Most people never learn this law. They spend their entire lives pushing, grinding, exhausting themselves, convinced that suffering equals earning, that pain equals progress, that if they just push a little harder, sacrifice a little more, eventually money will reward their struggle. But look around. The hardest workers are not the richest. The most exhausted are not the most abundant. Something else is happening, something invisible, something most people never see. Hill called it the mastermind principle. But beneath that principle lies something even deeper. A law of consciousness, a law of mental vibration, a law that determines whether money flows toward you or away from you, regardless of how much effort you exert. Today, you're going to learn that law. And once you do, you'll never look at money the same way again. Before we can understand the law that creates wealth, we must first dismantle the lie that has imprisoned millions. The lie that hard work creates money. It doesn't. It never has. For generations, society worshipped labor as if sweat itself were sacred. We were told that tired hands meant virtue, that exhaustion meant progress, that if you just pushed long enough, wealth would eventually arrive as your reward. Schools taught it. Parents preached it. Entire economies were built on this belief. But the belief is false. If effort created wealth, construction workers would be millionaires. Nurses would own empires. Single mothers working 3 jobs would be financially free. But they're not. And it's not because they lack intelligence or dedication. It's because hard work is not the cause of money. It's merely one possible channel through which money flows. And a blocked channel at that, when the worker doesn't understand the real law. Napoleon Hill discovered this truth studying the titans of industry. He watched men accumulate massive fortunes while working fewer hours than their employees. He watched ideas become millions. He watched opportunities materialize from seemingly nowhere. And he realized something crucial. Wealth does not come from labor. Wealth comes from consciousness. There is an invisible force operating beneath every transaction, every opportunity, every financial outcome. Hill called it infinite intelligence. Others call it the universe, the subconscious mind, source. The name doesn't matter. What matters is understanding how it works, because this force responds to one thing above all else: your dominant mental state. Imagine 2 men working side by side. Same job, same hours, same skills, but one man believes life is hard. He believes money is scarce. He believes he must fight for every dollar. His actions, though sincere, carry the vibration of fear, of doubt, of struggle. And the universe, being a perfect mirror, reflects that frequency back to him. Difficulty, delay, scarcity. The second man holds a different inner world. He sees abundance as natural. He believes in opportunity. He trusts that supply is infinite. His actions carry certainty. His vibration whispers expansion, and the same universe mirrors that back to him. Ease, timing, increase, same effort, different consciousness, different result. This is the secret most people never grasp. Money doesn't respond to your actions. It responds to the state of mind behind your actions. Effort without alignment becomes strain. Effort with alignment becomes magnetism. You felt this in your own life. Think of moments when you forced everything, when you pushed, worried, tried to control every outcome, and nothing worked. Now, think of the times when something inside you clicked. When you felt calm, clear, certain, and suddenly opportunities appeared. Doors opened. Money arrived through channels you never expected. That wasn't luck. That was law. That was your consciousness aligning with the frequency of abundance. And when that alignment happens, wealth stops being something you chase and becomes something that chases you. Napoleon Hill wrote that thoughts are things. Most people read that and think it's motivational poetry, but Hill meant it literally. Your thoughts are creative forces. They are signals sent into an intelligent field that surrounds you. And that field, like a mirror, reflects your dominant signal back to you as physical experience. If you think lack, you experience lack. If you think struggle, you experience struggle. If you think limitation, you live in limitation. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because the universe is responding to you. It's giving you exactly what your consciousness is broadcasting. This is why the poverty mindset is so dangerous. A person trapped in poverty thinking doesn't just lack money. They lack the mental state that allows money to flow. They see the world through the lens of scarcity. They speak in terms of what they can't afford. They think in terms of bills, debt, and survival. And because thought is creative, their reality mirrors their internal narrative. But the wealth mindset operates differently. The wealthy person, even before they have money, thinks in terms of abundance. They see opportunity where others see obstacles. They expect increase. They speak confidently about the future. And because their consciousness is tuned to expansion, the universe arranges circumstances to match that frequency. Hill studied this principle for decades. He interviewed over 500 successful individuals, and every single one of them, without exception, possessed a definite mental attitude toward wealth. They didn't hope for success. They expected it. They didn't wish for opportunity. They knew it was coming. This wasn't arrogance. This was alignment with law. So here's the first principle you must understand. Hard work is not the source of wealth. Consciousness is the source. Your mental state determines your financial state. Your inner world creates your outer world. And until you shift your thinking from scarcity to abundance, from fear to faith, from doubt to certainty, no amount of effort will produce lasting wealth. The lie of hard work keeps people enslaved. The truth of consciousness sets them free. Now that you understand money responds to consciousness, not labor, we must go deeper. Because consciousness alone is not enough. You must learn how to direct it, how to focus it, how to impress your desire upon the invisible field that creates all things. Napoleon Hill called this field infinite intelligence, a living, responsive, creative power that exists everywhere, in every moment, waiting to be directed by the human mind. This is not fantasy. This is the foundation of every fortune ever created. Every breakthrough, every empire, every success story begins here, in the unseen realm where thought becomes form. Hill wrote that the subconscious mind is the connecting link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence, meaning your conscious thoughts, when impressed deeply enough into your subconscious, become instructions to the creative force of the universe. And that force never fails to respond. It doesn't judge your request. It doesn't question your worthiness. It simply obeys the image you hold with conviction. Think of it this way. You're standing in a field of pure potential, an infinite ocean of creative substance that can take any shape, produce any result, manifest any circumstance. But it requires one thing from you: a clear picture, a definite image, a sustained vision of what you desire. Most people fail here, not because the law doesn't work, but because they never give a clear instruction. One day they want wealth. The next day, they fear poverty. One moment, they imagine success. The next moment, they revert to doubt. Their mind is scattered. Their vision is divided. And divided vision creates divided results. Hill discovered that every successful person he studied possessed one critical trait: definiteness of purpose. They knew exactly what they wanted. They could describe it in detail. They held the image with unwavering focus. And because their vision was clear, the creative power of the universe had a blueprint to follow. This is the second law you must master. You cannot create what you cannot see. If your vision is vague, your results will be vague. If your vision is weak, your results will be weak. But if your vision is definite, specific, and held with emotional intensity, the universe has no choice but to bring it into form. Let me give you an example. A man says, "I want to be rich." That's not a vision. That's a wish. There's no clarity. No detalhe. No emotion in charge. The subconscious mind doesn't know what to do with it. But another man says, "I will have $50,000 in my bank account within 12 months. I see the number on my screen. I feel the confidence it brings. I act as though it's already mine." That's a definite vision. That's an instruction the subconscious can work with. Hill taught that you must write your definite purpose on paper. Read it aloud every morning and every night. Visualize it until the mental picture becomes more real than your current circumstances. Why? Because repetition impresses the subconscious. And once the subconscious accepts an idea as true, it begins working day and night to make it real. This is not wishful thinking. This is mental mechanics. Your subconscious mind controls your habits, your perceptions, your actions, and your opportunities. When you program it with a definite vision, it begins to notice things you would have otherwise missed. Ideas come. Connections form. Resources appear, not by magic but by law. The creative field responds to clarity. The universe obeys precision. And the person who holds a definite vision with unwavering faith becomes a magnet for everything required to make that vision real. But vision alone is not enough. In the next moment, you'll discover the force that gives your vision power. The one element that transforms a mental picture into physical reality. Without this force, even the clearest vision remains dormant. With it, miracles become inevitable. You've formed a vision. You've impressed it into your subconscious mind. But now comes the force that determines whether that vision becomes reality or fades into fantasy. Napoleon Hill called this force the most powerful emotion known to man. Faith. Faith is not hope. Hope is passive. Faith is active. Hope says, maybe it will happen. Faith says, it is already done. Hope waits for evidence. Faith creates evidence. And in the economy of the universe, only faith has the power to command results. Hill wrote that faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence. This is the mechanism. This is how thought becomes thing. But without faith, the transmission is weak, incomplete, powerless. Think about your own life. There are moments when you knew something would work. Not hoped, not wished, knew, and it did. That knowing was faith. That certainty was the vibration that moved the universe in your favor. But there were also moments when you tried to believe, but doubt lingered underneath. You said the words, but your heart didn't match them. And nothing happened. That was divided faith. And divided faith produces nothing. Hill discovered that the wealthiest individuals he studied all possessed unshakable faith in their vision. They acted as though success were guaranteed. They made decisions from the end result, not from their current position. They spoke with certainty. They moved with confidence. And because their faith was absolute, circumstances bent to accommodate them. So how do you develop this kind of faith? Hill gave specific instructions. First, through autosuggestion. You must speak your desire into your mind repeatedly with emotion until your subconscious accepts it as fact. The subconscious does not reason. It does not argue. It simply obeys whatever is repeated with feeling. Second, through visualization. See yourself already in possession of what you desire. Feel the emotions you would feel. Hear the sounds. Taste the victory. Live mentally in the result before the result appears physically. This impresses the subconscious with such force that it begins to reorganize your habits, your decisions, and your perceptions to align with the vision. Third, through action. Faith without action is dead. You must move as though your desire is certain. You must make decisions that align with the future you claim. You must refuse to act from fear, doubt, or hesitation. Every step you take must declare, I believe. Here's what most people don't understand. The universe does not respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. And your vibration is determined by what you truly believe, not what you say you believe. You can affirm abundance all day, but if underneath you fear poverty, the universe receives the fear. You can visualize wealth, but if your actions contradict your vision, your faith is not real. True faith is demonstrated through alignment. Your thoughts align with your vision. Your emotions align with your thoughts. Your actions align with your emotions. And when all three are in harmony, you create an unstoppable force that commands reality itself. Hill warned that faith is fragile at first. It must be protected. Doubt is a thief. Fear is a poison. Negative conversations, pessimistic people, and contradictory thoughts will erode your faith if you allow them access to your mind. This is why Hill emphasized the importance of guarding your mental environment. What you read, what you watch, who you listen to, all of it either strengthens your faith or weakens it. The man who builds unshakable faith becomes untouchable. No circumstance can discourage him. No delay can defeat him. No obstacle can stop him, because he operates from a place of inner knowing that the universe is already working on his behalf. And that knowing, that certainty, that faith is the substance from which all wealth is formed. But faith must be sustained. And there is one practice, one mental discipline that keeps your faith alive even when appearances contradict your vision. Without this practice, faith weakens. With it, faith becomes indestructible. And that practice is gratitude. If faith is the force that commands wealth, then gratitude is the force that sustains it. Napoleon Hill understood that the wealthy do not wait until they have money to feel abundant. They feel abundant first, and money follows. Gratitude is the vibration of abundance. It is the frequency that tells the universe, I recognize the supply that surrounds me. I expect more. I am ready to receive. Most people treat gratitude as a reaction. They feel grateful when something good happens. But metaphysically, gratitude is not a reaction. It is a cause. You don't feel grateful because abundance appears. Abundance appears because you feel grateful. Hill wrote that the starting point of all achievement is desire backed by faith and expressed through action. But beneath all three is a quiet hum of appreciation. The successful person is grateful before the victory, grateful during the process, grateful even in the face of temporary defeat, because they understand that gratitude keeps the channel open. Think of it this way. Fear closes the mind. Worry constricts possibility. Complaint repels opportunity. But gratitude expands. It opens. It invites. When you're genuinely grateful, you cannot simultaneously vibrate in lack. A grateful mind is an abundant mind, and an abundant mind attracts abundant circumstances. Hill studied the habits of the most successful people on earth, and he found a pattern. They all practiced daily gratitude, not as a ritual, but as a way of life. They expressed appreciation for what they had. They acknowledged growth. They celebrated progress. And because their focus was on what was working, more things began to work. This is the law of increase. Whatever you appreciate, appreciates. Whatever you acknowledge, expands. Whatever you celebrate, multiplies. The universe does not bring you what you want. It brings you more of what you focus on. If you focus on problems, you get more problems. If you focus on blessings, you get more blessings. So here's how you practice gratitude in a way that creates wealth. First, begin each day with a declaration of thanks. Not for what you hope will come, but for what already exists. Thank the universe for the air you breathe, the mind you possess, the opportunities around you. Feel it deeply. Let the emotion fill you. Second, be grateful for what is still invisible. This is the highest form of faith. When you thank the universe for the money that hasn't arrived yet, for the opportunity that hasn't appeared yet, for the success that hasn't manifested yet, you send a signal of absolute certainty. And certainty accelerates manifestation. Third, replace every complaint with gratitude. Complaint is a confession of poverty. It tells the universe, I lack. Gratitude tells the universe, I have, and I expect more. Every time you catch yourself complaining, stop, flip the thought, find something to appreciate. This alone will transform your reality faster than any strategy. Fourth, express increase everywhere you go. Hill said the greatest leaders make others feel richer by their presence. Compliment people, encourage them, uplift them. When you give others the feeling of increase, the universe gives you increase in return. This is spiritual law. You cannot bless another without blessing yourself. Gratitude is not weakness. It's not denial. It's not ignoring reality. Gratitude is the acknowledgement that reality is not fixed, that circumstances are flexible, that supply is infinite. And the person who holds this awareness becomes a magnet for miracles. Hill warned that most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack the mental discipline to sustain a high vibration. They start strong, they visualize, they affirm, they act, but then doubt creeps in, fear returns, old patterns resurface, and they abandon the process just before the breakthrough. Gratitude is the antidote. It keeps your frequency high. It keeps your faith strong. It keeps your vision clear. Even when appearances suggest failure, gratitude reminds you that the universe is still working. That delay is not denial, that the harvest is still coming. When you combine definite vision with unshakable faith and constant gratitude, you create a triad of power that nothing can resist. Your mind becomes a fortress. Your emotions become a magnet. Your life becomes a demonstration of law in action. But there's one more element required. One final piece that transforms inner alignment into outer results. And that piece is action. Deliberate, confident, fearless action that declares to the universe, I am ready. You've built the vision. You've charged it with faith. You've sustained it with gratitude. But none of that matters without action. Napoleon Hill made this clear. Ideas are worthless without execution. Faith is dead without movement. Thought is powerless without application. The universe rewards those who act, not those who wait. But here's the critical distinction. The action Hill described is not frantic effort. It's not desperate hustle. It's not exhausting grind. It's something entirely different. Hill called it inspired action. Action taken from a place of inner knowing. Action that flows from certainty, not fear. Action that moves with the rhythm of faith, not the chaos of panic. Most people act from fear. They rush. They force. They push. They try to drag results into existence with sheer willpower. But fearful action is wasted motion. It declares to the subconscious, I don't believe this will work unless I force it. And the universe, receiving that signal, responds with resistance. Obstacles appear. Doors close. Progress stalls. The person who acts in a certain way is different. They do not hurry, because hurry is doubt in disguise. They do not hesitate, because hesitation reveals a divided mind. They move with calm precision, as though invisible forces are already clearing the path ahead. And because their action is aligned with their inner state, the universe opens doors they didn't even know existed. Hill wrote that opportunity often comes disguised as hard work. But he didn't mean endless toil. He meant purposeful effort applied in the right direction at the right time with the right state of mind. This is the difference between labor and creation. Labor is mechanical. Kreation ist intelligent. Labor exhausts. Kreation expands. Labor struggles against resistance. Creation flows with momentum. So how do you act in a certain way? First, act where you are. Hill said the person who waits for perfect conditions will wait forever. The universe does not reward waiting. It rewards movement. Start with what you have. Do what you can. Take the next logical step. Action creates clarity. Clarity creates momentum. Momentum creates results. Second, act with full presence. When you work, work. When you plan, plan. When you rest, rest. A divided mind creates divided results. The man who is half committed receives half results. The man who is fully present in every action becomes a channel for infinite intelligence. Third, act without attachment to immediate results. This is one of Hill's most misunderstood teachings. He said you must be definite in your purpose, but flexible in your methods. You plant the seed, but you do not dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust the process. You trust the law. You do your part and let the universe do its part. Fourth, act in harmony with your vision. Every step you take must align with the future you've claimed. If you've declared yourself wealthy, act wealthy. Not arrogantly, but confidently. Make decisions as the wealthy make them. Speak as the wealthy speak. Move as the wealthy move. Identity creates reality. When you act from the identity of the person you're becoming, you accelerate the manifestation. Fifth, act without emotional interference. Fear interferes. Doubt interferes. Worry interferes. These emotions block the flow of infinite intelligence. Hill taught that controlled attention is the key to power. When you act with calm, focused, deliberate intent, you become unstoppable. Hill often told the story of a man who made a fortune during the Great Depression while everyone around him lost everything. When asked how he did it, the man said, "I made decisions as though prosperity were certain. I acted as though the economy didn't matter. And because I moved with certainty, people trusted me. Opportunities came to me. Money followed." That's the power of acting in alignment. You stop reacting to circumstances and start creating them. You stop being pushed by fear and start being pulled by vision. You stop working for money and start working from abundance. When vision, faith, gratitude, and action align, something extraordinary happens. You enter a flow state where wealth begins to move toward you with effortless momentum. Ideas arrive. Connections form. Resources appear. Money shows up through channels you never anticipated. Others call it luck, but you know it's law. This is the culmination of everything Hill taught. This is the mastermind principle in action. When your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and infinite intelligence all work together in harmony, you become a creative force that nothing can stop. And at that point, money is no longer something you chase. It's something that flows to you naturally, inevitably, abundantly. But there's one final revelation, one ultimate truth that Hill saved for those who understood everything that came before. And this truth changes everything. There comes a moment in every seeker's journey when the final veil lifts. When you stop seeing money as the goal and start seeing it for what it truly is. A symbol, an effect, a shadow cast by something far greater. Napoleon Hill spent decades uncovering the principles of success. But near the end of his work, he revealed something profound, something that transcended all strategies, all techniques, all methods. He revealed that wealth is not something you get. It's something you become. Hill wrote, "Riches begin with a state of mind, with definiteness of purpose, with little or no hard labor." Notice what he said. Riches begin with a state of mind, not with actions, not with circumstances, not with opportunities, with consciousness, with the inner world, with who you are being, not what you are doing. This is the ultimate law. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Your external reality is always, without exception, a mirror of your internal state. If you are fearful inside, your life will reflect fear. If you are abundant inside, your life will reflect abundance. If you vibrate scarcity, scarcity surrounds you. If you vibrate wealth, wealth finds you. The average person spends their entire life trying to change their circumstances. They want more money, so they work harder. They want more opportunity, so they network more. They want more success, so they chase it relentlessly. But they never change the one thing that matters most: themselves, their consciousness, their identity, their state of being. Hill discovered that every truly wealthy person he studied had undergone an internal transformation before the external wealth arrived. They stopped identifying as someone who needed money and started identifying as someone who created value. They stopped seeing themselves as victims of circumstance and started seeing themselves as masters of circumstance. They stopped operating from lack and started operating from abundance. The shift was internal, and once that shift happened, the external world had no choice but to follow. This is why Hill emphasized that you must think in terms of riches, not hope for riches, not wish for riches, but think from a state of someone who already possesses them. Because thought is not observation. Thought is creation. When you think from wealth, you create wealth. When you think from poverty, you create poverty. It's not motivational theory. It's metaphysical law. So who are you? Not who are you taught to be. Not who circumstances try to make you. But who are you choosing to be right now, in this moment? Are you identifying as someone struggling for survival? Or are you identifying as someone connected to infinite supply? Are you seeing yourself as limited? Or are you seeing yourself as a channel through which abundance flows? Hill said that every great fortune begins with a shift in identity. The moment a person stops thinking, "I need money," and starts thinking, "I am wealthy," everything changes. Their posture changes. Their tone changes. Their decisions change. Their energy changes. And because the universe responds to energy, their reality changes. This is the true currency. Not paper, not coins, not numbers in a bank account. The true currency is consciousness. And the person who elevates their consciousness elevates their life. The person who becomes abundant internally will never lack abundance externally, because they have become the source from which abundance flows. Hill warned that most people will never accept this truth. It's too simple, too internal, too personal. They want a system, a formula, a step-by-step process that requires no inner work. But the real work is always internal. The outer world is just a canvas. The inner world is the painter. So here is your final instruction. Stop chasing money. Start becoming the person who attracts money. Stop trying to get wealth. Start being wealth. Stop looking for opportunity. Start being the opportunity others seek. Stop identifying with lack. Start identifying with the infinite. When you do this, when you fully embrace this identity, the law of attraction becomes effortless. You stop pushing. You stop forcing. You stop struggling. Because you finally understand that you are not separate from wealth. You are the source of it. You are the consciousness through which it flows. You are the living demonstration of abundance. And from that place, money comes. Not because you earned it, not because you deserved it, but because you became the vibrational match to it. You aligned with the frequency of wealth. And alignment is the only requirement the universe has. Napoleon Hill closed his life's work with a simple truth. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief is not intellectual agreement. Belief is identity. Belief is knowing. Belief is being. You are not here to beg the universe for money. You are here to become the person through whom money flows freely, abundantly, endlessly. You are not here to struggle. You are here to create. You are not here to lack. You are here to demonstrate the infinite supply available to every human being who understands law. This is the final revelation. Wealth is consciousness. Money is the mirror. And you, right now, in this moment, have the power to shift your identity, elevate your vibration, and step into the life you were always meant to live. If this message awakened something inside you, if it shifted the way you see money, if it reminded you of the power you've always carried, then don't let this moment fade. Subscribe to this channel. Join a community of minds rising above limitation. Activate notifications so you never miss the next transmission. And share this with someone ready to stop chasing wealth and start becoming it. Remember, the universe does not respond to your circumstances. It responds to your consciousness. The moment you shift within, everything shifts without. The moment you think from abundance, you create abundance. The moment you align with law, destiny bends to meet you. This is your time, your awakening, your rise. Not because someone gave you permission, but because you finally remembered who you are. A creator, a channel, a living demonstration of infinite supply. Claim it, embody it, become it, and you will never lack money again.